efficiently. Good for you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you to the PPC Publishing Preview webinar. This is Pete Kosman here, just kind of co-hosting in the background. We have Anela Wetter and we have Wendy Kitts, who are going to actually be giving the actual information on this today. So this is a real exciting new addition that we're doing to Project Positive Change, actually bringing in the publishing arm. I know that for me personally, and I'm sure for absolutely every single one of us, I don't even know how many we have in PPC anymore. I think I've kind of lost count. And I'm the one that's supposed to kind of be keeping track of it. So just so you know, I think every single one of us has a work in us. And I know that all of us here are wanting to actually put this work out. So this is going to be important for all of us to follow and see how it's happening. And I know that I'm excited to get this update right now. So shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. So
Thank you,
what's happening?
So, yeah, and I definitely want to know who all is here. So I see Andy and Wendy and Corinne and Gary. Who else is here? Because I think I see 8 participants, but I just can't see other folks on my screen.
Amanda's here. Corinne's here.
Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
And somebody's on the phone. I don't know who.
Great. Great, great, great. Well, thanks for being here. My name is Anela Wetter, and I'm so excited to talk about PPC Publishing today. And I want to start by sharing a little bit about myself, a little bit about how my husband Craig and I came to this organization and specifically to the publishing group. And then I want to ask my friend and collaborator, Wendy Kitts, to say a few things about herself. And then I want to just talk about what's in my brain about PPC Publishing. And the main reason I really wanted to have this preview, great name, Wendy, is to hear from the visionaries, to hear how you could most be supported by this new part of PPC, the publishing arm, and to share with you some immediate sort of what I'll call short-term steps that I would like us as a group of visionaries to take, ramping up to 2016 with here's my husband. Hello. And hi, Sharon. I see you.
Good morning, guys.
Hello, hello. Yeah, so it's ramping up to 2016. So a little bit about myself. So I started my post-college days as a high school English teacher. So a teacher of writing, and that was where my heart was from the time I was really very young. And so talk about a dream come true to be sitting here talking about a publishing division of an organization with the philosophy of Project Positive Change. So I was a teacher for almost 15 years, and in that time I taught middle school and high school and some college writing, and became affiliated with an organization called the National Writing Project, which is pretty much what it says. It's an organization where writers and people interested in supporting of writing, so educators at all levels, including the university level, and professional writers, come together to improve their own writing, to improve writing instruction in an educational setting, and to support each other as a community. And so after about, hi Tepsy. Hi. So good to see your face. After teaching for almost 15 years, I left the classroom and I joined a publishing company. And my work for the last 15 years, so now you know it's been 30 years about since I've been out of undergraduate school, I have been working in publishing and in a division of a publishing company whose focus has been on K-12 curriculum materials. So think about math, science, English, social studies materials that my company develops and produces and sells to school districts across the country. And in my role, I've been in a sales capacity, working at a daily level with leadership and school districts around their greatest curriculum needs and challenges, and then matching the published solutions that we have to those needs and challenges. So, so that's a little bit about my both background as a writing teacher and in publishing. And when Lee shared the idea of Project Positive Change with Craig and me back in February, one of the things that I know appealed to me, and I think Craig would agree with this, is that Lee's words were, "Why are we waiting? Why are we waiting on somebody to discover us? Let's just go. Let's just step out there in the world. Let's take us to the world." What a brilliant vision, first of all. And so, the same is true as I'm approaching 2016 in the publishing group, which is, why wait on, submission to some unknown person in some large publishing company out there to find us? Let's bring ourselves forward into this world. And so I guess sort of in a nutshell, that's the bigger vision. And certainly, the more immediate mission that I have is to support this group of visionaries. And, all of us are in this category. We came to PPC because we also have a belief in ourselves, a belief in our own message, a belief in our programs, and a belief that, yeah, we can change the world. And that's what we want to do in this time and space. And, one of the most critical components to all of our ability to do that is our voice. And that voice so fundamentally comes out in writing. And so I'm excited to begin the process of supporting each other in developing our voices as writers, so that ultimately we'll have the highest quality materials published in this space of positive change and spirituality and new ways of thinking. And I really believe that. So with that, I'd like to ask my friend and collaborator, Wendy Kitts, to tell a little bit about herself, because Wendy reached out to me just with a lot of tremendous experience and great ideas and a lot of passion, both for this organization and for what writing can do for each of our programs, our platforms, and our visions, and our way to impact the world. So, Wendy?
Okay, hi, I'm Wendy Kitts, and I've only been a freelance writer for about 15 years. I started out in accounting, of all things.
Only.
And
Yes. Only. Everybody's saying only.
Only.
And I had an accident, quote unquote accident, car accident, and it, just obliterated everything in my life, everything I thought important. And one of the fallouts that I could no longer sit at a desk and do accounting. And it was during that period, after I felt sorry for myself for several years, that I discovered writing. It just, wasn't even something I'd ever even considered doing before, and it kind of just fell into my lap. And so I started doing it, and like I said, I've been doing it for 15 years, and mostly write for magazines, newspapers, government writing, corporate writing. I do a lot of children's writing. I have a children's book out published here in Canada. I'm doing screenwriting, which I just discovered a couple of years ago, and I'm absolutely in love with that. But recently I decided I wanted to take my writing in a new direction. And I've been telling people, I'm coming out of the closet spiritually, because it's not an area of my life that I've shared. Most of my family, I've just got too used to, people rolling their eyes or laughing at some of the things I say. So I just kind of clammed up, and I kept that part of my life very private. And, that sort of around the same time as the accident, obviously, because, huge, I guess, awakening, you call it. So at the same time as the writing was happening and I was finding my own voice, I also started becoming more aware and started on this path. And, and it came up through, I guess, A Course in Miracles. That's sort of how I came into this. So all of that's been there for the last, I don't know, the accident was in 1994, and it's not something I've ever shared publicly. And so I wanted my own writing to start going that direction, start writing articles
Look at that.
or different anthologies on this kind of thing. And I've also discovered I love to help other people do this. Just find their voice, help them share it, especially speakers and workshop facilitators, because a lot of those people aren't necessarily writers or they don't think they can write. And that's something I love to do. I love to help take them into this other avenue, and just a whole other avenue to share your voice, right? And show them that they can do it. Like if I could do it with no experience, no background, I hadn't even taken a writing course. And I always tell kids, like I do a lot of school visits with my kids' book. I always tell them, like if I'd known I was going to be a writer, I would have paid more attention in English class because my grammar not so great. And so if I could do it, that's what I find a lot of people who come to my writing workshops, they'd be very inspired because they hear this story of someone who, like, I didn't even have the dream to be a writer. I wanted to do something creative. I didn't know what that was. But just the idea that someone could just start, I just entered a random contest, a writing contest, just wrote a little article about my favorite Halloween costume. And then from there, it just took off. I just started writing and publishing. And I didn't even say that, I support myself solely on my writing. So, it is possible. And I know we're going to talk about anthologies later, and there's all really great reasons you should do that, but I'll turn it back over to Danella for now.
Thanks, Wendy. And again, Wendy is just so much passion for writing and experience with writing, and a lot of great ideas that she and I have spent a few hours
already.
Time to time. Hello. Just in a brainstorming mode.
Taking Tim and Chris's father to check out in Karen.
She's so
Morning, Foyster.
Oh, shit, I'm crying. Sorry about that.
Morning, Danny, Donnie.
I said no on the video, and I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. So thanks, Wendy. So Craig and I and Lee are all the co-founders of the publishing division. And so, first of all, our agreement with Lee is that publishing will come on board in 2016. So that's several months away. And I just want to be really clear that in my mind is a long time away. And, there's a whole lot of details that I don't have, that we don't have, and that we're working toward. And that's another beautiful thing about creating something from nothing, which is it can take form and really be defined collaboratively. But at the core of PPC, and therefore PPC Publishing, is this great desire to help this core group of visionaries first find the right path, the path that's best for each of you to get your voice out. So, so a couple of things that I want to share on that front, and then I want to talk a little bit about a current anthology project that Sean Patrick has already started. And by the way, both Lee and Sean Patrick wanted to be with us today. But they're en route to Key West for Lee's Possibilities in Paradise conference, and Craig and I will be joining them tomorrow, as will others who are here on this call, and I'm super excited about that. But Sean Patrick, as probably most of you know, is already down the path of creating an anthology of stories from the core initial visionaries for Project Positive Change. Because again, why wait to get our message out, or why wait for somebody else to find us? Let's take this opportunity in this environment that we have been gifted to share our voice with the world. So in keeping with what Lee has so masterfully, really offered to all of us as visionaries, is the same sort of steps that I want to formalize now as we begin to think about publishing. And that is, I want to draw upon the fantastic resources that we have right here amongst this group of visionaries. And I'll formally make this statement here, and then obviously broadcast this on our visionary Facebook page. But I'm calling all writers in our organization to let me know how you can share your gifts and talents in the area of writing to support those in the visionary group who have a desire to grow as writers, to improve as writers, to make writing a strong part of their platform, writing as a fundamental way that their message is heard by the world. And I think that even those initial steps over the course of the next few months can do a couple of things. It can grow us as a writing community so that we are seeing ourselves and interacting with each other in that way. And it also, the phrase I use probably from my years in business, it can also begin to grow our pipeline of high quality writing, because as I said initially, that's my absolute goal, that as an organization, we publish the highest quality, most revolutionary ideas in this industry, because I know what each of us is capable of. I've seen it already, and it astounds me every single day. So I also will say a few things about the anthology project that Sean Patrick has started. And then I want to open it up to hear from you, visionaries who have expressed a real interest in writing. And I'd like to hear in what capacity you have an interest in writing. And then I also want to do a little bit of a spotlight, and I did ask her permission earlier today, a little bit of a spotlight on one of our visionaries, Pepsi, who made a generous offer, I think it was just yesterday or today, to this group of visionaries for her course on copywriting at a much, much reduced rate, exclusively for this group of visionaries. So I want Pepsi to also take some time to talk about what that course is and how it can benefit this community, because that, again, is the kind of activity that I want to formalize for the rest of the year. How is it that we can learn from each other and benefit from the talent that we have right here in this initial group of people? So with that, Sean Patrick, one of the visionaries and a board member for Project Positive Change, first of all, has his first book coming out in January. And you may know that, and you may also know that the title of it is How I Found the Universe at Starbucks. And I'm obviously very excited for Sean Patrick, excited to read the book. And he and Lee have a brilliant idea. Again, another way, how can we as an organization support the visionaries who have been so immensely and generously supportive of this idea in its development? And what they determined, and Sean Patrick has started taking action on, is an anthology, an initial anthology focusing on the stories of any and all of the 111 visionaries around that same theme. How did you find the universe? How did you come to this spiritual place in your life where you are? What's your story? And so Sean Patrick has been reaching out and having interview type conversations with visionaries, and it's his goal to have a conversation with all 111. Anybody already talked to Sean Patrick and told your story? Yeah. So he's been recording those interviews and to bring this anthology to the next stage, right as we turn the page to the new year. We'll be putting some structure to, okay, we have, I'll call it raw footage. We have the interview. So what are the next steps? And so I'll be defining those, and that'll be a project of the publishing division. so that those interviews can become, whatever kind of written artifact. It might take the form of a story. Some of them might take the form of a poem. It's an anthology. It's a collection. It's a collection of voices. And so as a visionary and as someone who will be a contributor to the anthology, if you choose to, you'll get to make those decisions about how your voice gets inked on the pages of our very first Project Positive Change anthology. So, some great ideas already in the works, and some terrific action already taking place. So I've talked a lot. I hope that's maybe answered some of your initial questions about what is this thing called the publishing division and what's going to be happening. So I would really love to take this opportunity that we have everyone gathered here to hear from you. It can be anything from, hey, here's what jazzes me about writing, to, hey, here's what I feel like I most need or where I'm stuck around, or here's everything that I've published, and I want you guys to know that. So we'll be open and flexible and let this conversation be very fluid. And one of my roles will be to take notes, because I really want to learn from those of you who have joined us today. So with that, Wendy.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to talk a bit about anthologies, just sort of encourage everybody to submit something to either Sean's, or, and also know Philippa is putting together at least 4 different anthologies on the different subjects like health and fitness, spirituality. I forget the other 2. But I've seen a lot of people talk. Andy's doing an anthology as well, and it's put out a call to writers. And I just want to really encourage people, even if you think you're not a writer or can't write, to submit something, because it's like a calling card. And I know I tell this to people in my writing workshop, like, one of the ways to break into publishing. And I know, like, I was published in an anthology in Canada on literacy, and I know that helped me get my book contract for my children's book, because it was a credit, right? And it shows an editor, if you're going the traditional publisher type, but it shows the editor that you can write. It shows them that you can meet deadlines, how the process works. So it provides all kinds of things in that direction if you're trying to get the attention of an editor, an agent. And it also gives credibility if you're a speaker or a workshop facilitator. I read recently that they've done studies where they show that if you published a book, that it has more credibility than if you have, doctor, PhD after your name, which is really interesting. And
Awesome.
Also helps with discoverability. Maybe people don't know you, but they might be picking up this anthology because somebody else, like Sean Patrick's name, that he has something to do with it. And so they might discover you during that. And it's also going to help you increase your reach. If you're already speaking and doing workshops, it's just going to help all that, open all that up. And to me, it's a really natural, organic way, an extension of what you're doing already. And of course, another stream of income, and a very lucrative stream of income. And of course, it helps build, what I call the holy grail of publishing, a platform. Everybody's heard about platforms. So, if you're just trying to break in this way, and I myself, I'm going to submit to several anthologies. I think there's 5 right now that I'm sending something to, and that's because I'm new to this type of writing, and so I want to get my voice out there and heard in this sort of field, right, in this kind of genre. So yeah, I would just encourage everybody to use it. And Ellie, you said at the beginning something about how long it takes. And with my own publisher, my publisher who did my children's book and loves my writing, told me that it would take like 2 years to get anything else out there because they have such a backlog. And 2 years is a long time. And that's somebody, like, I already have my in. I already, worked to get that publisher. So you're not even talking the time that it takes to submit and query and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And I want to add that I'm also I'm putting together a program for helping like writers and speakers and workshop facilitators if they want to submit something to an anthology and they're a little not too sure of their writing. And so I'm going to be doing a similar program because I love doing that.
I have a question.
Other than writing.
Yes, I'm putting you down, first of all, Wendy, for someone who would be a great resource, right, for visionaries. And just a couple of things, that Wendy said, and Gary and I talked a little bit earlier today, had a great conversation. And, I also believe that PPC Publishing can be a market disruptor. I hear, what Wendy said, 2 years to be published. I know in my own publishing company, there's a little narrow path to get to an editor's desk. You have to kind of know the right this and that to get there. We're bigger thinkers than that. And so that's one of the things that excites me about PPC Publishing is we can totally create a publishing company that doesn't look anything like the traditional publishing company because we all see limitations in what has been traditional. And I don't see a person on the screen that's done traditional anything, right? Yeah. So I'm excited to be able to disrupt and to change those paths that have felt so closed, because I see what we're capable of. I see the message that we're each delivering. And just with a little organization and structure, I think that, we all can take our best voices out to the world. So, I really appreciate your comments about, going for getting an anthology. Yeah, get those credits. That's simply part of building your entire broader platform. But in terms of blowing out old limitations and old ways of thinking around how hard it is to get published, we'll do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's never been easier to get published than today, right?
Ways. That's true.
I also, right, and I love what you said though about you want quality of writing, because that is one thing as the writer, that kind of I see out there, I guess, just the lack of quality, and because it is so easy to get published now. And so I like that you want to take it in that direction, because, you're putting yourself out there.
Well, it's our brand,
your
right?
And
yeah.
It's your brand, exactly. And so I like that that talking about the highest quality, and there's so many people, like you said, in the group that can help each other do that, publish, make this writing, sparkle and shine.
So can I ask a question, please?
Yes. Hi, Amanda.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Amanda.
Look at me. I'm leaning down because you're on the box at the bottom of the screen.
She looks like foo.
Yeah, shush. It's very early here. I'm sorry about the video visual of me saying goodbye to my husband this morning too. That was very, I thought I'd hit the video button off. Anyway, all right, so questions. So essentially PPC Publishing means that we have a book, we can submit it. It will be we don't have to pitch too hard, but giving an overview and this is what we're writing, and then editing and all of that sort of thing, and then helping to get through to the next part? Or is it, here's my book, turn it into a real one? How does it work?
Yeah, so great question. And I'll be really, really transparent and say, I'm not really sure what the process is. There will be a process, absolutely. Because, I don't think anybody here would disagree that what we all collectively want is to make a name for ourselves as a PPC organization, and that does mean high quality. And we'll need a path for getting to high quality. So, don't have that process. Again, you may have not heard this at the beginning, but the publishing division will become an actuality in 2016. So, we're months away, and that's what we're working on over the course of the next few months. So there will be clearly a defined process, and there will be clearly, standards for quality. But, again, I absolutely believe, because I see it already in this group, that we bring our very best selves to the party. So so thanks for the question, and I
that's cool.
that it's one that probably everybody has, and I don't have an answer right now. And it's fun when you're creating something, right?
Flying by the seat of our pants is very, very good at creating awesome stuff. So we would be having our own kind of PPC Amazon type thing where people would come in. It's not publishing and then getting it put onto Amazon. It would be completely being driven through PPC.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely potential. We have the potential for e-commerce right on our site. That's one of the sort of fundamental elements that Lee is working on inside the Ultimate PPC website. So absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. And do you think there would be room for an app development as well as a publishing arm of things? Because
hell yeah.
My eldest boy and I were driving one day, and he came up with an idea that he said, "Mum, you should write this." And I looked at him and I thought, no, your brother and I are going to write it. So we've developed a concept for kids, but we need an app with it. And I don't have anyone that can build an app. And it's a good extension to the book.
Yes, it is. So, I mean, again, wow, what a great idea. Very, very definitely. I mean, it's beautiful when we have the ability to create from scratch. And I can see that possibility, at some point in time.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. That's all my questions.
They were wonderful. So, Wendy, thank you for mentioning Andy's anthology. So, Andy, would you take a minute to talk a little bit about what you're working on?
Sure. Good. So, we're at 22 visionaries have committed to writing. August is the month. Everyone's writing one chapter. And this is on personal experiences overcoming quote-unquote mental illness with probably alternative methods. It's personal stories of yourself, or it's interaction that you've had with a loved one. So I said we have 22 people. I'm doing a forward in a chapter, and then 22 others doing additional chapters. My goal was, if we get 8 people, this will definitely happen. So we have more than enough. It could be multiple volumes. Just collect everything and see if there's a common theme, and or if there are 2 common themes, you might, people will wait to a different volume, whatever. But I've got, I don't even know how many I got. I think I have 9 or 10 self-published books on Amazon. I've had 5 #1 Amazon bestsellers. I teach people how to self-publish all the time, and I have an online
what a resource,
which I realized I'll share. I was waiting for PPC University to launch with it, but why wait? If people want to check it out now, I can share where it is now.
Thank you.
And there is no reason to wait. And I've had experience. I've gone traditional publishing route. I've talked to agents. I spent thousands of dollars on I can't even think of it. Oh, my book proposal. I'm like, I hate it so much, I forgot what they're called. And so now I just get an idea and I publish it, and books are live on Amazon in 24 hours after you've completed it, and it's easy. And to Amanda's question, it doesn't have to be one or the other. We can be selling books on a PPC site and have Amazon selling them as well. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Okay.
And I also have experience going physical books. I have experience making audiobooks. So apps are the only thing I have not done, but that is definitely part of publishing today. So
you bet.
It's all good.
Cool.
Andy, are you still looking for authors and contributors for your anthology?
I am afraid
I missed
not.
that one.
Yeah,
okay, that's right.
It's because messages have already gone out. Again,
that's
writing
okay.
Starts tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah,
that's right. Came to the party too late.
It's okay, and there'll be more. This is just the first one.
And
like I said, if there's more for this kind of story too, we'll have multiple volumes to this. But the theme, the title that we're playing with, it'll all get organic. But positive change for mental illness is kind of like the working title, and it's volume 1 through 100, if whatever needs to happen. Right?
Are you including depression in that?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. Put me down for next time.
Okay.
And now it strikes me that maybe we need to have some sort of place portal where people can list if they have some anthologies going on. Like I knew Andy was because I saw the post, but obviously some people didn't see the post. And maybe we should have a place where if people are doing these anthologies or any sort of writing where they're looking for co-authors, that we can post it somewhere, one place.
Agree. So Craig has offered to begin to sort of figure out if Basecamp, because Leah's using Basecamp as a tool in PPC, if that's the best forum. So agree that we want to have sort of a dedicated space where everybody in the subgroup of writing within PPC can go to get news, information, updates, contributions, whatever. So completely agree. So
and
maybe use a hashtag for now.
Yeah, hashtags. That's just look at that doc, add it there.
PPC Pub or PPC Anthology or something like that, so that it's specific to this, not just necessarily I need help or the contribution one.
Yeah. Great idea. I wrote that down. Hashtags are a great way to start. So I would love to ask my friend and amazing writer, Tepsi, whom I adore and I think almost idolize at this point. She hacked freedom. She's moving to the place of her dreams. And as I said to you all, she has just made this very generous offer to the group of visionaries for her 4-week course at a much reduced rate. So Tepsi, would you talk a little bit about what you do as a writer, sort of how you got to this space, and what you could offer to our group of visionaries as a way of helping those of us who are building a platform of such with our voices. So thank you, Tepsi. It's so great to see you.
Thank you for having me. I love being here and seeing all these beautiful faces. I am so humbled when you say that. I love you too. Every time I see your face or your picture, I get like this. You just make me happy. There's just something about you that just like lights me up from the inside out.
Right back at you.
So I have a background as a writer in the most boring sense of the word. I was doing technical writing and documentation and requirements analysis for software engineering, telecom, Navy stuff. I worked for the Armed Forces, the Department of Defense, the Federal Aviation. So I know all of the Federal Aviation rules and guidelines. When I get on an airplane, either like I have to be completely sedated or I'm a little dangerous. So I kind of fell into an opportunity where I'd been looking for my gifts, like a lot of us have done, looking for your gift. How are you going to contribute to the world? And I thought I would be my gift as a life coach. And I happened upon somebody who had never experienced my life coaching and never experienced my writing, but she decided that I was a writer. She just said, you know what I think, what I know about you is that you're a writer. I hadn't known her very long at all, but apparently she's psychic. So she sent me a referral to the first client, and that was in March. And since I left my job in May, I returned my husband in July, and now we're like in an empty house.
Lost your mic.
So, being online is challenging, I think, for a lot of us in a very noisy space. And one of the challenges a lot of people have is, who are my clients? Who are my ideal buyers and people I really want to connect to, who have a desire to hear my voice, to hear my story, and work with me in whatever capacity, either, if you're a coach or a speaker or even an author. Because as authors, yes, we are all writers, but there's a different form, of writing in order to convey your message out online. So those are the types of people I work with mostly. And my new program that I just launched at random, because people kept asking me, how can I work with you? I can't afford to pay X number of dollars to work with you one-on-one, but how can I work with you? And so I reacted kind of haphazardly, I guess. And I was like, well, you can work with me like this. And I came up with a name. You have the right to sell. And I came up with it, and I launched it on Friday. And I've had a few signups over the weekend. I think we're about up to 12. And I haven't really advertised it except to the people who've asked. But I know that the people in this community are my very special people, and I want to help take you on a journey from discovering your ideal client, figuring out the language that they speak, spying on them. I call it spying online to sort of get a feel for how they show up, and then writing your homepage, which I call the invitation, like the invitation to stay a while and make sure that you are a good fit for the person who's browsing onto your about page, which is the most visited page on your website, which most people don't know, but a lot of people are not actually curious about you. They're curious about themselves and how you can help them. So we'll go through that exercise, and then we will do a work with me page or a sales page, which is the way that you kind of, from the home page and your about page, you funnel people over to check out how they can work with you. And that's where we'll talk a little bit about your packages. I'll give people ideas about how to, price their offering. I will go step by step through the process. So it's kind of like hand holding and coaching. And we'll have weekly workshops every week for either 4 or 5 weeks, depending on how people receive it and how long it takes them to implement. Because I really want people to implement. That's my biggest goal. I know a lot of people sign up for a lot of programs and don't implement. So if you're, wanting to sign up for this one, I'm going to hold you accountable and hold you to actually showing up, being present for yourself and the other members of the group, and finishing your website so that you can have something up there that when the next step, which is the bonus in my course, 2 bonuses. The next step is protecting your website legally, and making sure you have all of those little pieces in place. And that's what my husband will come in and do a guest little webinar on and give templates that you can customize in order to make sure your website's protected legally. And then the second bonus is a Facebook ads course with I call him my business bestie and little brother. He's only 21 years old, and he talk about hacking freedom. He is making it online. He made like $10,000 on Periscope last month. Yeah, it's crazy. And I got this idea from him really when I saw him. He's on Periscope. He was rocking it. People are asking him, how can I work with you more? And he was like, oh, I know. And people also kept asking him, how can I make my Periscopes better? So he created a Rock Your Scopes course and sold it in 8 days and made $10,000. It's just kind of crazy. But he's a Facebook ads expert, and he's worked with a lot of online, what do you call them? Gurus, or, people who are big names in the industry, in the various industries. And so he's going to give you an idea of how to market your website. So once we put it out there and it's sitting there, we don't want it to be a stagnant, static thing. You need your website to keep doing some work for you. And the only way you can do that is to market it and get it out there in a variety of ways, but the most easy and cost effective is Facebook ads. So he's going to go through that with us in the course. So it's $250. I think for all of this, it's a huge steal. So I wanted to, come on here with Anella's invitation and invite you to join and go on this little journey so that we can be sure that you are representing yourself and that you have the right to sell.
Awesome. Tepti, thank you so much for a generous offer to this group of visionaries. And I'm sure many people like me can so benefit from everything that you just described. So thanks. And I think you put something up on the PPC Facebook page about it already, right?
Yeah, I posted it in the, what was it called? It's like the offers.
Oh yes, that Lee put up yesterday.
Yeah, so I think if she thinks it's a good idea, I can post it elsewhere so other people can post it.
Yeah, and once we have Basecamp set up, we'll maybe also use that as a repository for anybody who has a way that they believe they can really help visionaries in this broad field of writing to be visible there for sure. So thank you. So anybody else want to share anything about you as a writer?
Well, I'd like to say that I know I got interviewed by Sean Patrick on the anthology, and it was an amazing way for me to release. So I'd really like to just express how writing is such an amazing way to not only help others, but really actually to help yourself. And through helping yourself, you actually help others. And I've started on Periscope. I've done about 5 sessions, which has doubled my mailing list and given me 6 new clients.
Really?
And
wow.
Last
Well
night
done.
on Periscope, somebody actually typed in, "I would buy your book." And I was like, you would, except I don't have one. So that was a real call home of
Start taking orders.
Right.
Yeah.
I have 83 people as members on my Periscope, and yet here was one that just, I didn't even say anything about a book, and she was like, "I would buy your book." And I was like, okay, Pete, universe to Pete. Hello, are you there? Are you awake? So I just want to shout out, how that is just one more way to get your word out there. And I also, as being in different types of media that I'm in with the True to You universe or True to You radio and all those in the Project Positive Change radio, once you get yourself out there in any kind of media, whether it's verbal, whether it's video, whether it's written, that's when you really start honing your message. That's because it's one thing to have this kind of ephemeral idea of what you believe and what you say. It's another thing to actually put it down in black and white and really have it in front of you, staring you in the face and like, oh, that's what I believe. And that's how I approach it. It's really getting your true, authentic voice. So anyway, that's my
Awesome.
Pete, thanks for sharing that. And so one thing that you said, Pete, that I just want to underscore. So we've been talking about publishing our writing to the world. Awesome. And at a fundamental level, writing will really reveal what's in your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a writing teacher, I used to teach a technique called writing to learn, right? The process of writing to allow what comes forth. And so at a very fundamental level, everyone who ultimately has this desire to publish something, to me, that's a starting place. And that comes with some sort of a writing ritual. And I plan to offer a webinar to visionaries in the next few months about what would that look like and how would you bring that type of writing ritual into your life if that's something that you don't currently have and you think it might be a key for you to ultimately, be the kind of writer that you would like, or, even to write your message, get your voice out through, other materials. We've talked about the publishing division supporting people who want to publish, books, for example. But, I also know that so many of the visionaries have actual programs for which they might have a desire or a need to publish a workbook or, some other, supporting resource. And so I see the publishing group as broader than that traditional narrow publishing company sort of definition. Again, a way to disrupt all those structures that are probably pretty industrial, honey, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. And, we have an opportunity to be so highly supportive of this group that has come together under that one, sort of guiding mission, which is why wait? We've all got great work to do in this world. So let's take it forward together. So.
Could I possibly have a comment?
Yeah, absolutely, Gary.
Okay. One of the things that I would like to see is in our development of an idea and ultimately a book or a workshop or whatever it is, we have a beautiful opportunity to use each other as test subjects. And I say that in a very positive way. For those of you who don't know, I do a lot of resiliency training, and I had some beautiful conversations with multiple people on the line here about a book that is in formation. One of the things that I would really like to do is to start experimenting with different groups to possibly be woven back into the book. And so I have a very rough draft of the concept of how it's been used in the past. But I think we have a beautiful opportunity with the people on the line here and in PPC more widely to say, and could you use it in your walk? How would it look? Let's test it out. And oh, by the way, if it works really well, then you might have another book, or just inclusion in the primary one. So that's one of the things that really excites me. The other portion that's related to that is I'm not a writer. I don't claim to be a writer. I'm very smart in the things that I do. And that's not writing. And so I have this draft version that I would love to share with people to say, does it ring true? What do you think? How would you improve it? Just, to raise awareness, number one. But for my own education as a non-writer, I would love to tap into that. So those are my two comments, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
Yeah, so Gary, thank you for that. And, another, I'll call it a baby step that I will be organizing, and Wendy and I have talked about this quite a lot this fall, is internally, again, for this group of visionaries who've come forward and, really made a huge commitment to Lee and the organization and said, yeah, sign me up. I want to be a part of this thing, is to formalize, I'll say, reading writing groups. So be the audience for each other. Be the first readers for each other. Be that place where you can go in a safe and loving and caring environment and get feedback from real readers of your initial writing, because that is a fundamental part of a writer's process. In fact, I described it a little bit earlier to Gary today, as a former English teacher, a former literature teacher, I can just see Hemingway and his group of comrades, right, sitting around, sharing their writing with each other, probably over much to drink on the left bank in Paris. And that's a reading writing group, right? That's an initial audience. And so let's be that.
Can we do that?
Yeah, on the left bank. Yeah, and so we have this wonderful tool of technology and, Basecamp and Google. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we can come together in small groups of 4 or 5 people. And there's kind of a magical number there for sure to be productive and helpful and, balanced in the way we are listening to each other, giving feedback to each other, and being heard by each other. So just know that as we grow this organization, this part of the PPC organization, that you have a home of test subjects. I like that phrase, right? You've got an audience. You have people who can say, I would read that. I would buy that. Here's what I need to know more of. There's your gem. Here's where it is. This is where it is on the piece of paper, right? Sometimes the distance that a new reader has from what's written, because when I write it on a piece of paper, it's close to me, and I often love everything about it. But sometimes a new reader coming to that material can say, in this paragraph, that's your idea. That's gold. And so we can do that for each other, absolutely. So Gary, I appreciate those comments, and that's part of the structure that we'll be putting together in the publishing group. I would also share that an idea, and it's just an idea at this point, but it's certainly been part of several conversations, and something that Wendy is collaborating on with me, is the first of many PPC Publishing Writers Retreats. And so we are very hopeful to have one on the 2015 calendar. Again, even though the publishing division won't be an entity until 2016, but creating an environment in an intensive period of time over the course of a few days, a long weekend kind of setting for writers to come together to both learn and to be heard. And Wendy actually has personally in her business hosted a weekend writing retreats before, and brings a whole lot of experience and ideas around that. And we have a commitment from a soon-to-be published author and PPC visionary to also teach a workshop at our first retreat. So just a little tease there. It's exciting, and we're hoping very soon to have solidified, all the important logistical details so that people have an opportunity to plan for that. And it's the first of what my vision is for many of those types of events to come together. Maybe we'll do one on the left bank. That's actually really good.
I was just going to say that. That's where we should be, left bank, for sure. I know. I just wanted to add that. Obviously, there's an advantage with the anthology. You're only writing one chapter, right? So it's not maybe as intimidating to try and start out. But I took a writer's workshop. I don't know what that's for.
PPC
Pub. Are you an Aussie? Craig's channeling his inner Aussie.
Oh, okay. I took a writer's workshop from Hay House, and Reed Tracy said something that really stuck with me, and I thought I'd share it with you guys because a lot of you guys are speakers and workshop facilitators. He said if you have enough material to do a workshop for a weekend workshop, you absolutely have enough material for a book. So, that's something to remember. A whole book. Like, forget the anthology. Just go right to the book.
Right. And perhaps I would just conclude today in the last couple of minutes by saying, the whole idea that you wouldn't have enough perhaps is a limiting belief, right?
Exactly.
So let's just take this opportunity to, not only think differently than traditional publishing houses have thought historically, but also think differently about the ability we all have to share our voice with the world. And now we have a mechanism for getting that out in a way that is much more conducive to everyone's success. So thank you all, beautiful people, for joining this conversation. Pete, thank you for hosting. And I know that this will be posted on the Facebook page for others to be able to dive in and see. And in the next few weeks, you'll be seeing some information about some of the things that we've talked about becoming formalized, and Basecamp will likely be the tool that we use to do that. And we'll begin to create what is at the core of the mission of the publishing group, which is a community of writers that support each other. And we'll do that through all the different ways that we've talked about, looking forward to 2016 and, a full-on publishing arm of Project Positive Change. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in the PPC Publishing Preview webinar. Thank you, Anil, and thank you, Wendy. And we'll say good night.
Morning.